Stephen Burch is a principal of GSC Architects and leads their San Antonio office with over 19 years of architecture and interior design experience. Stephen attended John Jay High School and received his Bachelor of Science in Interior Design from their accredited program at UTSA. He's a registered interior designer in the state of Texas and has a diverse range of project experience, including commercial, healthcare, education, multifamily, and hospitality projects. Stephen is also the interior design advisor for Modern in San Antonio.
Hey, Stephen, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Are you're staying in place? Has it been a positive experience for you these days, or I guess it's the same as everyone else?
Yeah, it's probably more honestly been a little bit of a struggle. I think that, I'm rather a social butterfly, and what we do professionally is so interactive that I miss people.
I understand. I'm the same way, definitely.
Yeah.
Stephen, you're a registered interior designer. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is exactly?
Yeah, of course, RID, Registered Interior Designer, means that I, of course, attended a university. You can register with the state through an exam process if you have any kind of higher education, whether it be a bachelor or master's degree from a CITA accredited program, or a bachelor's and master's degree that's in some other major kind of component of business with another interior design degree, or even associates. But the trick is to have 60 hours of higher education under your belt before you can kind of set for an exam to get you started. But the difference between a registered interior designer is that we really focus on life safety. We create interior space working alongside, a structural engineer, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, those kind of specialty components that include an architect on the team. You can be a decorator out of high school. We have a lot of formal education under our belt and a lot of code compliance that we have to focus on. So it makes our jobs challenging, which we of course see as opportunities.
Absolutely. So with registered interior designers, where do you usually see them working? Do they work for architects, or what sort of capacities where do they work?
Yeah, that's a good question. A registered interior designer can be both commercial and or residential design. As a residential interior designer, you can have your own business just as you can commercially, but you can see us working alongside architects for architecture firms. You can see us owning our own businesses as interior design firms. We can also take other avenues such as theater design or set design. We can go into project management for larger institutions, or facility management for companies that are always kind of changing their environment as it speaks to their employees. So there's a lot of different kind of options that interior design can take you towards.
Great, that's great. Thank you. You are heading up a local architectural firm, interior design firm here in San Antonio. What are some of the changes that you've been witnessing in architecture and interior design, just within this stay-at-home kind of mandate?
The shelter in place, I think, has been really challenging for us. I think we've been fortunate as a firm. Of course, we're headquartered out of Austin. I manage a San Antonio office. And as a firm, we've been fortunate enough to maintain that influx of new opportunities, new projects. Projects are continuing to move forward. There was a slight hold with not knowing what to expect, specifically as it related to government mandates. But we've started working remotely from our homes a week before it was really required within our state or city. So that allowed us to kind of set up that foundation and platform to be productive. And I think the most surprising part of that is that we haven't lost productivity. In fact, our productivity has skyrocketed. It's elevated. People are doing more, working longer hours. We quite honestly discourage that. We want the home work-life balance. But I am so guilty of that myself. I'm usually in front of this computer from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Just so I can be there for the team. But that's probably the biggest picture for us.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot harder to, like you said, have that work-life balance when you're just there all the time, and it's hard to see that separation.
Sure. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have another room I can go into, but I still get up, I still get dressed, I still shower, I still dress from head to toe, not just from the top, just so that it still is an event and something I'm going to, and I can truly disconnect when the day's over.
Right, absolutely. That's great. So is there anything you've witnessed that's kind of with all this kind of stay at home, stay in place stuff that's been kind of a pleasant surprise to you?
I've been surprised by our profession's ability to still collaborate. I always felt like that human interaction, that human touch when we talk about design and we share ideas and we brainstorm solutions, involve that kind of, within an arm's reach. And we've been really successful in doing so on this video platform, such as Zoom, that still maintains that kind of closeness and connection. I will say the most challenging part for me is presenting to a client and not having them in the room. What we do is so much based on how we read their body language and their facial expressions and how they talk about something or ask a question. And so losing sight of that kind of connection has made presenting a lot more challenging.
Right.
I will say that our clients have been so open to be patient with that process, understanding the process, realizing that it's new for us too. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that in with design, and there's these sometimes materials that are very tactile, and you're not really, getting to have that, human interaction with the textures and things. And so, yeah, I could see that. Very interesting. So are you utilizing kind of like PowerPoint presentations to kind of get, visuals across?
We are.
Yeah.
I mean, Teams is something we've always kind of used within the office to continue talking, across cities or across offices, and that allows to screen share. So I think the screen sharing implies a certain connection already that's a little bit more intimate. And, as a professional, we have to sell our ideas. It's not that this is the solution, have fun, run with it. And so there's a little bit of drama that comes with that. I mean, when I share finishes in particular, which, is only maybe 15% of what we do, but I build the space. I keep all the materials in my lap, and then I pull up the carpets or the flooring material, and I talk about that. And then I introduce the wall color, and then I introduce, lighting. And there's this kind of character that you play when you present that requires you to be in the same room.
Right.
And now, I'm sitting those finishes ahead of myself. They're having time to look at them and either fall in love or create prejudice that I have no control over. And so that's been a lot different.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Speaking of projects, how are the construction of your projects going?
We had one kind of national company that had kind of stopped, at least with work outside of the two cities that they're currently doing new locations for. And that's supposed to pick back up at the end of the month. We're hopeful that that does. But we've also had an import of new projects. And, with construction being labeled as an essential business, our contractors are able to kind of move forward.
That's great.
Yeah. And so we, of course, our first priority is keeping our team safe. And then second to that, of course, is to maintain the level of customer service that we are branded by as an architecture and interior design firm. And so we've been doing remote punch lists and remote walkthroughs of construction sites. And that could have only happened with the help of the contractor. And they've really stepped up. They walk through the space with a video. They take pictures for us. We're able to respond back and forth. So we really haven't seen a slowdown. And I almost want to knock on wood to say that out loud, because, there's always that ripple or that backlash once that, something takes place. So this first month, we may not. It may be the month 2 that, something slows down and starts impacting us. But we've maintained our team. We're not struggling in terms of generating income. for the firm. It's been a pleasant surprise.
That's really great. Moving on to another topic, what have you been doing in your free time to kind of, pass the time? Are you reading any interesting books or design related or otherwise? Or
Yeah, I've decided kind of to focus on bettering myself. I feel like that, through the isolation, I see another human maybe 3 hours a day, and the rest of the time it's just me and work or my environment. And so I've decided to kind of look into WELL AP and studying for the WELL AP exam. So I've started that study process. There's a furniture manufacturer who is leading kind of a study group through webinar. And so I'm able to get a little bit of exposure to that, and then studying on my own time.
Can you tell us a little bit about the WELL program and kind of what that covers within your industry?
Yeah. So to a lay person, I think this is probably a little bit more difficult to understand, but there is a program called LEED, L-E-E-D, and that focuses on the built environment and how it impacts the world we live in. Renewable energy, recyclability through construction materials, as well as, finished materials, well as WELL, W-E-L-L, it focuses on the person and the experience once they're in the environment or the space. So there's wellness that we focus on with regards to the natural elements, access to water, access to natural sunlight, sunlight harvesting, access to gym membership for physicality improvements. So with LEED about the building, wellness is about the person. And with today's kind of pandemic, so to speak, we have even more reason to focus on how healthy an environment should be and can be. And I think we have a responsibility as a professional to make sure that we do the best.
Right, absolutely. And probably with the pandemic, I'm sure the WELL AP system probably is going to see some changes. I would imagine just from going through this whole process, it's going to change a lot.
Yes, I can only imagine.
Well, along with that, do you have anything on Netflix you're watching, or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to share what I watch because I always have approached television as escapism. So I've always been the type of guy that, wants to watch the movie about the girl who discovers her dad's a king and she's a princess.
Right.
So that it doesn't require a whole lot of thought or emotion, so to speak. So
right.
In terms of TV shows, I've been watching The Legacies, which is a spinoff about vampires. And I've been watching SVU because the 3 hours that I do have human interaction is, of course, determined that we're watching SVU. And I think I'm on season 8 of Lord knows how many. But and then a lot of like funky shows like I'm Not Okay With This that are Netflix driven, or this great kind of coming of an age TV show called Sex Education, which is really kind of polar opposite of what you probably think it is, but still like funny and laughing and feel good kind of stuff.
Is there anything else you can think of that that we haven't covered that would be interesting to mention?
Yeah, I think that how a company treats their employees during this time is going to truly define their brand for the next decade. And I feel like I can be very proud of how we've been sensitive to our team, to making sure that they felt safe and that they are empowered to make their own decisions. And we've done so in a way that hasn't sacrificed our integrity or our service level or even our professional skill set. And I'm hoping that other companies, specifically those that are on the right brain, so to speak, are doing the same. Because I think that you're going to be remembered for that.
Yeah.
People choose to work for you, that's going to be in the back of their mind.
Very true. Very true. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy person. All right. Well, take care and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, you too.